Check, mic check, 1, 2.
Yo, is this thing on or what?
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Platform Podcast. As always, I am your host, Dex. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. If you're listening to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give us a follow. Leave us that 5-star review. Before we get started with the episode, we got to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Make It Now Media, DJs, artists, venues. If you're looking for any sort of graphic design, whether it's EPKs, logos, a new event flyer, make sure you hit up Make It Now Media and use the code PLATFORM for a little discount. Now, today on the show, I've got a very, very talented DJ and producer, one of my good friends from Miami, Florida. He's been killing it. If you're in the DJ game, I'm sure you've seen his name scrolling through record pools, downloading his edits, his remixes, and touring all over the U.S., playing in Florida, Texas, Ohio, New York, and a whole bunch more cities. I got my good friend Cazes here. How's it going, man?
What's up, man? It's good to be here.
It's good to have you back in town.
Glad to be back in Nashville.
Yeah, your little monthly residency, however often it is. It's good to have you back.
It's good to be back.
How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm ready for Barstool again.
Yes. How's the weather here?
Oh man, I usually go places and I feel like it's colder.
Yeah.
I came here and it's 95 degrees today. It's not awesome.
It's fucking hot.
It's not awesome.
It was 100 degrees when Maddie and I were walking around today, trying to take Luna out here, our little co-host. She's all tuckered out.
I was going to say she's done. She's not even ready for the episode.
Oh, yeah. She's been hot all day today. But yeah, I mean, we're going to get into a lot of things here. Just talking about you, the production game, your show that you run, Rinse and Repeat Radio, that you've been doing for a long time now. Just the editor life, working with some record pools, the Miami music scene, and music now. So before we get started, awesome. I mean, let the listeners, let the viewers know a little bit about Cazes, where you're from, how you got into the music scene, and how everything's been going.
Give them the short version.
Yeah.
So I started DJing about 10 years ago now. In high school, played guitar in a band when I was like 15, 16 years old. We graduated high school, all went to different schools. And this was around 2010, like the EDM boom. Mm-hmm. And a couple college buddies were like, hey, why don't you start DJing? And kind of started as a joke, to be honest. And it was like, this is kind of fun. Started doing fraternity parties, then started doing like some bars, started doing some clubs. And then it was like, you can go play in this city. And it just kind of, from there, kept moving. And I graduated from school in 2014. And moved to Miami in 2015 or 16 because I was in Tallahassee an extra year. And just kind of from there, just went for it and have kind of been DJing, producing, doing that ever since.
Because you went to Florida State, right?
Yeah, so that's where I started. I started at Florida State. The years of I was there for 2 national championships.
Yeah, Jameis Winston?
Yeah, those years. So I got to start... I started DJing. I look at it as it was a really good time period.
Okay.
FSU was crazy. College was still kind of I don't want to say unregulated, but there was no cancel culture, anything like that. So parties were crazy. And yeah, on top of that, the EDM boom. I mean, that's when I started. What got me into it was dance music. I feel like a lot of people kind of start with more that hip hop route, at least the open format guys. But I grew up on rock music, and then
that's
from
what I was
there,
gonna say. What was the band like?
It was rock stuff, classic rock, blues rock influence. Guns N' Roses, all that '80s type stuff with modern flair, and that's what I grew up on listening to. I never heard an electronic song till college.
Really?
Never heard anything.
You were all just rock and
just rock stuff, pop stuff. I mean, I listened to hip hop then, but I just think it wasn't really mainstream in the US yet.
Yeah.
It wasn't on the radio. It wasn't until, people always talk about Guetta kind of had that crossover with the Akon record and all of that.
But then you started bringing festivals and EDM
it wasn't mainstream. I didn't hear any of that stuff. And I remember hearing Calvin Harris for the first time, the album. I can't think of what it's called, but the one with the girl with the sunglasses that are the one that's flashback and all of that. And I remember hearing that and being this is sick.
Yeah.
And just kind of from there, that's when the DJ thing started, and that was it.
So where were the first places you played besides frat parties?
So frat parties I started, and then from there I started doing, there was this area, it's still there in Tallahassee, it's called The Strip, and it's a big every college I feel has like a conglomerate of bars where it's like the country bar, this bar, and they're all connected.
Yeah.
So I played like what was basically like the more like spot that played EDM and all that stuff. And anyone who went to FSU knows there was these like parties called like White Trash Wednesdays, which were like insane. Everybody would wear like, jorts and like all that shit. And
looking like Joe
those
Dirt.
those were some of the first like crazy parties I played.
Yeah.
And then from there I did, then I started getting into like the bigger clubs. There's a spot called Coliseum.
Yeah.
That's not there anymore. And
Where's Recess at? Is Recess in Tallahassee?
Yeah. So Recess opened as I was leaving.
Okay.
So that's where I have a residency now. I play there. Crespo plays there a lot, who I know you had on the show. But before that, there was a spot called Coliseum, which was essentially just a warehouse, fit like 2,000 people. And every single week they were booking Aoki, all of these people, because at that point they were so affordable.
Yeah.
Like I know promoters that worked there back in the day, and they were booking Steve Aoki for like $20,000. And it was just like $5 tickets. Like Avicii played there, like everything. Skrillex played there. Yeah, so it was.
And was
cool.
it mostly
a
college crowd?
All college.
Okay.
It was kind of cool because then I would like go play at some of these other college towns, and it would be like a shit bar was what they had, and this was like a full production, like huge LED screens, amazing sound.
So you're getting started like at the top.
Yeah. So that was kind of like a little bit of a reality check as I then moved on, because it was like, this is amazing. You're in a college town. You're just kind of DJing for yourself and your friends.
Yeah.
There's no manager telling you what to do. So I think when I moved to Miami, I had that little bit of like a reality check that like you were here and now you're here. Mm-hmm. And that's where like the real like I think like DJing journey as a career kind of began.
So when that transition happened and you went to Miami, how did you start getting into spots there? And then kind of what did you realize playing those spots the first couple of times? Was there a reality check in a sense of like, oh fuck, like I can't just play what I want. I need to learn how to read the crowd.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the first spots I did in Miami, there's this spot called Rec Room. They gave me a shot. That was a really cool spot. It's not there anymore. Like small club, underground. Actually really reminds me of that spot we went to.
Pushing Daisies?
Pushing Daisies. Really reminded me of that. Like, musically, I was not ready for that spot.
Okay.
Because it was like super eclectic. Like, you had to be able to mix disco with hip hop, with house. And like all I knew how to do at that point was just party rock. Like that was it.
But not that you didn't like know the music or
exactly.
Did you, okay.
No, so that's the thing. I've always had like a pretty good knowledge of all kinds like of music. Like I said, really besides dance music. But at this point now I have it because I was in school for 4 years playing it. But just never played that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think that was kind of like where I switched and realized like, hey, if I want to do this as a career, I really have to learn how to like mix this with this. And it was like a good learning curve. Like I think it was a good spot to learn a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely the first like reality check.
Okay.
Without a doubt. Like walking in there and just like the crowd not being into it and like not knowing how to, but I mean, I think you have to learn at some point. Go and watch other DJs.
How did like the feedback go for that? Did you have feedback from like management where they're like, hey man?
Yeah, like definitely did. But also you got to remember like those are spots like in the beginning when I'm starting, I'm opening. Mm-hmm. So I think like there is that learning
pressure.
curve and they know exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's not like there's huge bottle service clients. I'm losing them at this point.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, hey, like you're going to stick around and watch the dude playing after you. And that's how you're going to learn how to do this. And, that's kind of really how I learned was seeing other people play in Miami.
Yeah.
Being like 22, 23 years old, like, watching these guys play that have been doing this for 10, 15 years.
I mean, I still now always think about that where I get done and I'm never just like leaving.
Yeah.
Because especially with Barstool out here, they're bringing in DJs from all over. So I think that it's so important to just stick around and listen to
100%.
These other guys play because they're all going to play differently than you'll play the room.
100%. It's also like free networking. Mm-hmm. You're being put in this position with people that you might not be in the same room as, and you're being thrown in the same room 2 feet away. Like I think it's a great opportunity. Like for both sides too. I think like if you're a headliner DJ, like, and you're not making friends with these people that are in this room every day, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, like we always talk about it. Like I'll text you like, what's like a huge country record is popping off in Nashville or whatever, and we always talk about it, and so many people don't take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And I think especially here, like this is a city where like you're gonna play some different stuff for sure.
Or just even taking the time to go around and just link up with other people. Like every time you come here, like you're texting me before you get here, you're like, hey, like, what's the plan? Like, what are we doing? Let's go grab food. Let's go meet up with other people.
I mean, that's how I've always been. Like, nothing against like the people I would rather just like kind of chill or be in their own. Like everybody's got their own thing, but I just look at it as like I like am blessed to have the ability to do this. Like, I want to kind of take advantage of it and hang out with people in different cities I don't get to see a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities that can come just from meeting the right people and just putting your foot in the door. So
100%.
So outside of DJing, I mean, when did you kind of start the production side of things? Because obviously growing up and being musically oriented, playing in a band, you obviously have that mindset of knowing musical measures and how things work and keys and pitch, all that kind of stuff. Were you jumping into production right away, or was it DJing and then down the line you're like, hey, let me start producing stuff?
Yeah, so it definitely started with DJing first, but I think the musical knowledge in general from playing guitar made me pick up DJing like very easily. Just the ability, not like the more technical stuff, but just the ability to mix two songs together. Like I feel like I was able to do that within a week or two, because just knowing how to count music alone, you can mix songs like with software. But I think the issue is, like we always joke about it, it's like, oh, there's like a sync button, but you can have somebody that's never done anything musically, give them the sync button on both sides, and they still can't mix the two songs together because they don't know when to start the song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So it's like it might be on beat, but one is on a one
it's out of phase. Like if it's coming in with two vocals together or whatever, like, so I think like I realized that really quickly, like, oh, like this hip hop verse is 8 bars. I'm going to mix in the intro over the chorus. Like, I think that takes a lot of people a while to figure that out if they don't know music and like how that works. But luckily, like I was able to pick that up. And then production wise, I think like some of the first stuff I did was like, I remember making like, Power Hour in college?
Yeah.
I was making like Power Hour mixes.
Okay.
For like my fraternity and people. Like
I
remember
just like the hits,
the
of
1
hits.
minute thing where like, you know, you drink every minute kind of thing. So it'd be like a minute. And I was like making these in like, I think at that point, maybe like Audacity or something, you know Audacity, right?
Yeah.
And
little free program.
Yeah, like I think that's kind of how I learned that. And then from there, it was kind of like, let me see if I can put like this vocal over this. Just like a really simple mashup, no like editing, just kind of like song 1, song 2.
Yeah.
And kind of did that in there. And that was kind of like the first like mashups I guess I did. From there, I don't really remember like how it went from there. I think at some point I probably pirated Ableton.
Like and I think started doing it that way?
I think that's how it starts.
Yeah. Were you taking any music production classes or anything like that?
I've never taken any.
Everything is
classes.
all self-taught?
Yeah, same with guitar.
Okay. Damn.
A lot of like tips and tricks production wise. Like if I need help with something, I'll either YouTube University it or my brother.
Okay.
Because like I've told you, my brother Evan's like a great dubstep producer.
Yeah.
Which like I think sound design and all that, that's by far the craziest stuff.
Yeah.
So if I'm like, oh hey, like I don't know how to do this, or does this sound good or whatever, like I can always like ask him stuff like that too.
Just with how many like layers are going into
just
dubstep?
Like any type of like little production thing.
Okay.
Like he definitely knows production 20 steps above me.
Gotcha.
But as far as like the stuff I'm doing, you know, edit wise, remix wise, it's relatively simple once you're learning, once you have it and you know how you know how to do it, and you have like what your sound is and like that type of thing. So I don't know, maybe that started a couple years after DJing.
Okay.
I would say I've definitely been doing it for a while now.
Yeah. I mean, you're killing it now, obviously partnering with Headliner Music Club as one of their exclusive editors.
It was like unofficial for a while, but then they finally were like, all right, let's do this.
I mean, it's been a month now, or when did they announce it?
I think they announced it officially in
like April or May. Yeah.
I think April, yeah. But I mean, I've been sending them exclusive edits, not on a schedule for a couple years now. I think 2-3 years.
It's awesome. I mean, they're one of my favorite record pools. I mean,
pool.
Five and Eric Deluxe.
They're great dudes.
The guys that are all on there, as far as other editors, always are putting out a very, very good music. So talk a little bit about just kind of finally getting in with them, and then what that workload is like to be an editor for a record pool, and then just where your mindset goes when you're making stuff. Because obviously for you, like you were just talking about, you've found your sound
Yeah.
and kind of the style of music that you want to make that represents you and Cazes as a brand and as a producer. So just kind of dive into all that and what that's like for a normal week of you getting behind the scenes. And
Yeah, I mean, as far as like workload and all that, I mean, we talked like a little bit about that. That was something I was considering if I wanted to like make it official or not make it official, because the way it was before was great for me, because essentially I would make stuff whenever I wanted for my sets or for DJs or whatever, and I'd send it to them. They would post them as exclusive edits, but there was no, you have to have this amount of edits a week or a month or whatever. So when you really become like an exclusive editor for them or for any pool, basically how it works then is, you have so many edits you have to send them a month. Which worried me a little, because I don't think you can force things to edit. You can, but I didn't want to do them as Cazes, which we talked about. So everyone on HMC also helps with HMC edits, and you see those go up, which sometimes might be something that doesn't like align with my style or someone else's style, but their HMC needs them still.
Yeah, so
because
then instead
obviously DJs are playing, all kinds of stuff.
So then instead of branding it as your name,
It'll
you
be
can put it on
edit,
HMC.
right.
Yeah.
So that was one of the big things once we talked about it, and they were cool with that, and they do that with the other DJs. Obviously, then I was more intrigued to do it, because I think at this point, everyone who downloads a Cazes edit knows what they're going to get.
Exactly.
And that's what I kind of have wanted. I think when you download a Cazes edit, it's going to be kind of housey. It might have an old EDM vocal. It might have a top 40 vocal. It could have anything, but it has a style to it. And that's just kind of the editor that like I became. I think there's guys that are absolute beasts that do everything. Like I think a great example of that is like DeVille.
Okay.
Like on Club Killers. I mean, that guy makes anything you can imagine. He's making a quantized 80 studio edit, and then he's making a big room, EDM edit. So it's cool because he's a beast and he does everything. But I think when you download a DeVille edit, you don't know what it's going to be necessarily.
Yeah.
You know it's going to be great quality. You just don't know if it's going to fit what you want to play.
Exactly.
So I think that's kind of what I tried to lean in towards, was like, this is my style. This is what I want to do. And I mean, hopefully DJs that play it know that and they rock with it, and that's it. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, because that's what I feel like would be the harder part of being an editor for a pool that is being like on a quota of like, hey, we need 40 edits from you every month.
Yeah.
Where then you are kind of forcing yourself to pump out like, all right, cool, this is the hot song. I don't really like it.
Right.
I'm never going to play it.
Right.
But I'm going to make this edit because I know that other DJs are going to play it.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, I think there's a lot of DJs that are just great editors. Like they know how to really put everything out. And a lot of stuff does need edits. I mean, I'm also a big believer of not everything needs an edit.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've talked about this before.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially in like the country realm too.
Yeah. Like I think, there's a place for stuff, but I think there also is a lot of times where you're just downloading something and you're like, I don't need this.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to play. I don't know. I can't
tell you how many times I've like gone through a preview of a song and everything is good. Like the intro is good.
Yeah.
The build up is good. Everything is great, and then it gets to the drop, and it's like a drop that completely doesn't
fit.
Yeah, and I'm like, God damn it.
It's like a festival edit. Like you're catching them off guard, and I get that, but like you're not, as a club DJ, you're not playing those in a club.
Yeah.
Like it's just not, again, time and place for everything. But yeah, I don't know. I think the biggest thing I try to do with the edits, like I said, is when you download a Cazes edit, you know what you're getting.
Yeah, and you've definitely done a very, very good job with it. As far as other people playing all your stuff, because I mean, I think recently your Shabuzi edit was probably one of like the bigger ones, especially for people that are adding country into their sets.
It's like everyone's trying to do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was one of like the bigger ones that's happened in 2024, aside from like everyone making a Morgan Wallen edit every week. But yeah, I mean, when you're getting tagged by other DJs or other DJs are like messaging you or commenting on your stuff for that kind of stuff, how important is that to you to just see the support that you have, not only from like other DJs, but then from like artists playing your stuff too?
No, it's awesome. It's cool, like seeing somebody like that you might have looked up to as a producer or whatever, like DM you like, hey, this edit's great. I saw blah, 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 play it. Can you email it to me? Like, it's definitely cool. I think part of that too, though, now is like a lot of them, like I said, similar to what we were talking about before, I feel like I've created like a sound of my edits, like we were saying. And
Yeah.
I think that, not every big producer is going to want to play my edit because a dubstep guy is not going to play Cazes edit, and, vice versa. But it's cool now knowing that like I kind of collected this group of like bigger producers that do play my stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And it fits their brand and their style. And it's cool. It's definitely like a cool feeling. It's like a nice, like, obviously everyone that plays it I'm thankful for, but it's cool when you see a video of Diplo or Chainsmokers or whatever playing the edit. It's cool.
Yeah, I feel like that would be something where like 5 years ago you would never think.
No, never would have thought it.
Yeah.
Never.
Like, wow, they're playing this.
Yeah.
Is there an artist or producer that you look up to and that inspires you when you are working on new projects?
Man, that's a tough question.
I don't know if at this point you know what you're doing and it's kind of already in your head, or if there's still new music coming out where you hear a project or you listen to a new artist and you're like, damn, like I really like where they're going with this.
I mean, I like all the house stuff. I think it's all crossed over kind of into like more mainstream dance music now. Like I think John Summit's a huge reason for that, obviously. Like, nothing he's making is super, I mean, it has a mainstream vocal, whatever, but it's still house music and it's kind of crossed over into like radio dance music.
Yeah.
And I think it's like opened the door for people to see a lot of other people that are really getting like a lot of shine, even in mainstream. Like I think a great example, like someone that's like killing it that I love, like their styles, like Clooney.
Yeah.
And like to me, that's like underground house music, but it's like it's not underground. Like it's all over TikTok that everyone's seeing it, and it's the dude sold out Brooklyn Mirage. Like it's clearly crossed over. So I think people like that, like a lot of those underground house people I like. I think like another example I always say is just Diplo, because the dude makes everything. Yeah. Like, but he still has like his style. Like it's still Diplo. It's Diplo. But
like if you hear Diplo, you're still saying like, oh, he's an EDM producer, an EDM DJ.
Right.
But it's like the dude has made Moombahton,
got a country project, yeah, like
Afrobeats, like everything. Bro.
Exactly. I think the way he's done it is cool because he still has like it's still all under that Diplo umbrella.
Yeah.
But he's created the ability to kind of go in all the different directions, which like that's awesome. I mean, I feel like as a music producer, that should be kind of is everyone's goal a little bit.
Yeah.
Be able to make whatever you want. So it's cool. Like you open that avenue. Those are a couple of the like bigger dance music artists that I think are cool.
Gotcha. As far as, I mean, we talked a little bit about you and Cazes and your brand and wanting to put out music that fits that brand. That's when we're talking about edits and remixes. What about original music? Is that something that you are ever thinking of like?
Yeah, I mean, during COVID, I did a lot. I did a few. I think I did like 4 or 5 songs during COVID, just because I had so much time. You're not on the road. You're not doing anything. But it's tough. Like I do want to do it and I do enjoy it. But I think I've kind of, I feel like the dance music world and like the club DJ world are very like separate.
Yeah.
Obviously, the hard ticketed acts are playing those rooms, but those rooms also have a lot of people like me and you. So it's like the amount of time, it sounds so like shitty to say, but like the amount of time you put into like making that original stuff, I think like that time for me, I can put in so many other different avenues that kind of help my brand for what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I do want to get into that a little bit more because I think there are people that have done a great job of like being able to do both things. We can like talk about those people later, but for now it's like a lot of my time is going into other projects, like my edits, remixes for HMC, Headliner Music Club, stuff for Fit Radio. I know we've like talked a little bit about that. They're like a pretty big platform that I do stuff for every month. Rinse and Repeat is obviously every month. And then on top of that, it's like doing all your bookings, doing all this, and it's like you're gone every weekend. So it's tough. It's hard to find time for it. I do want to do it, but right as of now, I haven't been working on any original.
Yeah, finding the time for that would be a lot harder because, I mean, then you're trying to work on, all right, who are you going to have do vocals? Are you going to start writing songs yourself? There's so much more that goes into it than just flipping a track for yourself.
No, 100%. I mean, these guys that are doing that and they're aiming just to do that, they're all in. Like, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, which is crazy. So,
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your home now. I mean, Miami, nightlife in Miami. For somebody that hasn't been out in Miami, explain Miami nightlife and just the vibe, the people that you see out there, the talent and the level of DJs and artists that are booked at so many of these spots, with Miami being such a hot spot.
Yeah, Miami's crazy. I mean, I think a few years ago there was a lot more venues in Miami because before COVID, there's a lot of like smaller clubs that were a little more like locally driven. So like people like us would kind of be like the headliners there, not as talent driven, you know, ticketed talent. Basically COVID closed a lot of those. So now I feel like Miami's kind of in a few different areas of it. You have like the really like artist driven ticketed spots, which are like Live, 11, Story was one of those that closed. Space, exactly. You have your more like eclectic kind of spots, which are like really cool, like Dante's. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. There's one in Austin now, but it's like an all vinyl bar.
Okay.
That vibe, like cocktails, you know, eclectic music, Miami sound bars like that. And then you kind of have, you know, you got like the little dive bar scene, that type of thing.
Yeah.
You have Wynwood, which is like really like Latin driven. It's just kind of a bunch of different neighborhoods. I don't know. I kind of miss a lot of the smaller clubs. I talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
Just because they were a little more like locally driven, where, like I said, the ticketed spots are a little more tourist driven. But no, in general, Miami's popping. There's always something to do. Musically, it's pretty crazy. That's, again, like I said, where I learned musically. Like I didn't know a lot of stuff, how to put stuff together.
Say, like that. Obviously getting into back when you were in college and getting into more of the EDM stuff, just how much now has Miami just completely broadened your taste in music?
I mean, especially, we were talking about, I never heard an EDM song before college. I never heard a Latin song before Miami, like any of that. And that blow up happened with Bad Bunny. And I mean, even you're obviously in Nashville, you're playing some of that. Like it's everywhere. I would go to, you know, the middle of the country. It's an example, like a spot where I play like Nebraska, and people are asking for Bad Bunny. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I don't even remember what year that was that blew up. Maybe like a year after COVID.
Yeah, it was like 2021.
Yeah, I think a year or two.
Because I remember coming back and having phones in my face.
It just came out of nowhere. Yeah. But that I really learned from Miami, learning how to play that stuff and just about those artists. And I mean, those artists are so big. Yeah. Like some of those bigger ones will go and do like Live or 11. They had like Anita. She's huge. Like all of those people. I mean, it's crazy. They're just so like universally known. Yeah, and that's what I think is so much bigger with like a lot of those Latin artists, where like obviously they're huge in their respective country, but then they're doing international tours and still just selling out fucking everywhere too. Like learning about that, learning about like ballet funk type stuff, like Brazilian. That stuff's really cool. Obviously now Afro House is popping. I really like Afro House stuff. You got a lot of like Amapiano coming in Miami. I like Afro House a little bit more, just because I feel like Amapiano is cool. It's like vibey, but like there's not really like a kick in there. Yeah, like it's cool like in the right environment. I've seen it in places where it's like amazing, like outside on a rooftop. Like, it's amazing. That's the first place I think of. Yeah, it's amazing. But I think to me, like Afro House is that same vibe. It just has a little bit more like energy to it. Yeah, I agree. And I think the way some people like play Afro House is so good, where you can like bring it up and bring it down, and it's just like you have these big moments of like, you know, everybody into it. It's cool. It's good stuff. It's a full journey throughout the set. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think house in general has gotten huge in the past 2 years, but Afro House is really popping off in a lot of spots. How much pressure are you, like, where are the spots that you're playing consistently in Miami? I mean, not as much now, honestly, because of how much I'm traveling and stuff. Strawberry Moon, I do a good amount. Story was one that I did a lot, but that obviously is gone. In and out of like the Groot lounges. So you have like Swan, Komodo. Okay. They do Gecko, which I used to do Gecko a good amount, but they really went like full Afro House. So they're really doing like more bookings of those specialty type people. Okay. That room's killing it right now. Like they did a really good job with that. I feel like especially in Miami, it's probably way more it's a really cool vibe. Yeah. But yeah, like I think definitely just the fact that I'm now, you know, doing residencies at like, I don't even know how many spots it is around. It's like double digits, 4 weekends a month. I'm kind of doing Miami now, maybe 1 weekend a month. Okay.
When you were first playing in Miami, like playing at spots like Story, that's a bigger nightclub, is there a lot of pressure playing in those venues? Like, are you being told when artists are coming in, when athletes are coming in, all that kind of stuff?
I think where I felt the pressure more was when I was doing the smaller clubs that I was talking about, like before COVID, like Wall or Basement. Wall was this spot that was in W.
Okay.
And those spots, we were headliners. So I think those spots, I felt a little more pressure because it was like, this table's coming in, they're spending 20 grand, we want this now. Like, I never experienced that till that point.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Till that point, I never experienced that. Like, having to be able to go from playing something super high energy to maybe like playing a random 50 BPM hip hop song for that one table to then getting the whole room back up and not losing the room. I feel like that was like I don't know if you know DJ Cass from Miami, but he always calls it like the DJ Olympics, like having to like go through that type of stuff. I never experienced.
He's gonna be out here next weekend, actually.
Yeah,
he's
great.
just hit me up. Yeah.
I always joke with him. He's like my favorite. I always tell him he's one of my favorite DJs.
Yeah,
but that's where I felt more of that. I don't think I feel that very much at spots like Story and Strawberry Moon, because when I'm doing those, or when I used to do Story, even Lib, Strawberry Moon, all that, it's artist driven. So it's like I'm doing support for those artists. People are buying tickets to see those artists. So it's like those are the nights like I look forward to playing in Miami, because I'm playing what I want. Like, I'm really playing like house stuff to build the room, and like a lot of my edits that, you know, people might have not heard before. And those I don't think really have pressure because of that. I think when you're a headliner club DJ, there's way more pressure.
Yeah.
Because they're not buying a ticket to see me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's where
I just feel like so much of the crowd, like, they don't know, like, what you were talking about, where if you're going from a house set and then all of a sudden this table comes in, they're spending money. Management is like, hey, play this song.
And it's
now.
like now. Like,
and then
there's
you flip that, and people in the crowd are like, yo, what the fuck is this DJ doing? Like,
crazy.
Why did he just switch the vibe like that? And they don't know what's going on.
Right.
And then you gotta get it back on track.
No one knows. You know what I mean? Like, all that they realize is happening at that moment is that table's happy they got their song. They don't realize that the dance floor was killed for a few minutes. And then the people that aren't at that table are all like you said, what the fuck is he doing? And then you have the manager coming back up to tell you what's going on. And you can't tell him, hey, you just told me to play this song. Like, you did this, but now I have to get out of it. So that's that whole like DJ Olympics thing. I mean, learning how to do that, those couple years definitely made me a better DJ.
Yeah. I would 100% think that they would.
Yeah, that's where I learned a lot of like being able to like immediately do things and like get a crowd back like that if you lost them. Like, what are some tricks or emergency records?
Yeah.
Yeah, all that type of stuff it's tough.
Yeah, it's a learning process.
It's
that's for
definitely
sure.
tough.
It's never gonna fucking stop. So, I mean, you hit on a couple of the Groot spots. Your girlfriend is one of the people that works for Groot, very successful in her position. You get to go to a lot of cool things with her and see a lot of dope artists. And she obviously, you were just talking about, they got Loud Luxury over there tonight. How cool is it to see the progress that she's made in the nightlife industry, and to just have somebody that knows kind of a lot more of what you're doing and the work that you're putting in just in the music industry too.
Yeah. First off, I told her I was doing this, and she felt that she should have been on this podcast before me. So I think next time.
Wait, she thought before you?
She thinks she should have been on before me.
So
I think next time she comes to Nashville,
I'll have
just
a hot
gonna show
dog
up
costume
here.
ready. You know, she can do the whole thing in a hot dog costume.
No, it's awesome. It's funny. People always joke about it and they're like, "Where'd you meet Caroline?" I'm like, "Back at House at Live, where all love stories are made." I met her at night. I was playing with Jaden Smith.
Yeah.
At Live. Super random. He kills it though. He's awesome. But yeah, I mean, she's great. She does all the social media for Live. Obviously, people don't know.
Which their social media is fun. Like, if you go and look at their TikTok and shit, they do a very good job.
I mean, she's even helped me with anything I do on social media that's cool is 100% her.
Yeah, you've had
100% her.
The
Like,
couple that you've had where it's like you're getting back from a trip and she'll do the voiceovers for it.
That come on the road with me.
I think are like some of the funniest DJ videos that I've seen.
Those are crazy.
Because a lot of DJs put up a lot of cringy shit when they're like trying to promote records and stuff like that. But I think that shit is just good, funny stuff, and it's just like relatable to
I feel like the way I've always like looked at social stuff is just try and make it funny, relatable, not cringy. Like I just hate the cringy, like all of that type of stuff. But I mean, she's great at all of that. Like I think the Live social media and Strawberry Moon social media like obviously reflects that. But yeah, she's helped me with that stuff. I'm trying to think what she's done a bunch of like funny stuff for me.
Yeah.
But no, it's great. I mean, she understands what I do. Like I obviously understand what she does, and it's a good little team.
Yeah.
I mean, without a doubt, it's awesome.
Yeah, you guys are awesome together. She came out here to Nashville, had a great time.
I think she's ready to move here. She just keeps joking about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me know.
You're like, at this point, I think you're getting serious. Like, you started as a joke.
It started as a joke, but I mean, it's like she walks out of the bedroom with the cowboy hat on now, and it's just like
the pictures of Dom and I on your bed every week.
Every week.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about your show. You got Rinse and Repeat Radio out on Mixcloud, out on Apple Podcasts every Wednesday. You've been doing it for years now.
Yeah, it started as a COVID project.
Yeah.
That's what
I mean,
it was.
right now, I think this week you're 212 episodes in.
Yeah, two something.
Yeah. So tell listeners, viewers, just a little bit about that project.
Yeah, I mean,
what they can expect with it.
It started during COVID. Just kind of finding ways. A lot of people were doing Twitch. I don't know if you remember that live streaming, and did like a couple of those. And I was like, this isn't for me. I've always been a person with DJing where like I enjoy like the crowd kind of more than the actual DJing. I enjoy like the whole thing.
Interacting.
The whole interaction.
Yeah.
And I think with Twitch, I didn't really get that. Like it was just kind of like I'm playing records and this is cool and I love this music, but I didn't get like, there's no like feedback.
Yeah, you're getting thumbs up in the chat and that's it.
Right. So I think like I did a few of those and I was like, this isn't for me. That's when I started like working on the original stuff and I was like, I want like another musical outlet, and Rinse and Repeat kind of came up as an idea of just do a radio show, play music I like every week. That's, just a nice radio style show, like not crazy creative mixes, just like I like this record here, like I like this record. Started like that, and then I kind of was like, let's put guests on here. That was kind of the next step. So I think some of the first guests were like, I know Crespo did one for me.
Yeah.
Fade, which was Five and Eric Deluxe. I think they actually were the first guests. They were like episode 10, I think.
Okay.
Remember DJ Scene is a legend. He did one early.
Out here like
he did one early for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, just from there, it kind of was just like, I feel like the first maybe 20 episodes kind of like flew by without me really even realizing I was like doing it weekly.
You were doing it weekly the whole time, just from the start?
It started the whole time. I've missed one episode the whole time I've done it.
Yeah.
Weekly. Only once.
What was the reason? Was it a holiday
one or what? I don't even remember. I think I was out of town and I thought I was going to be back earlier.
To upload it? Okay.
And I wasn't, so I like didn't want to upload it without the voiceovers and stuff like that. So I think I just kind of was like pushed it back. But yeah, that's looking back, it's crazy because it's been like over 3 years that I've only missed one time. And but I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I've been able to have a lot of like great guests that obviously make it easier. I think doing an hour every week is a little tougher, but having them send a mix and it's cool.
Yeah. I mean, workload wise for that too, that's something where you talked about maybe straying away from like the original music because of all the other projects that you have right now. And with Rinse and Repeat Radio, I mean, you're doing everything for it because you do the graphics for it. I'm assuming you do obviously like the intros, the editing, all that kind of stuff too that goes along with it. And then booking out these guests
start to finish. I mean, it's booking DJ, it's getting the assets from them, the mix, the logos, the photos, the track lists, getting it on time. Sometimes can be a pain in the ass.
Oh, trust me, I know from doing the platform mix too.
Everyone that does a podcast or a mix show knows like, I'm giving people dates months in advance, reminding them weeks in advance, and like still you're hitting them up the day of and you're like, dude, come on. But yeah, I mean, that's start to finish. It's booking, getting the assets, putting the episode together. So that involves adding their mix, adding the new records that I do at the end of every mix. So if you don't know the format, 30 minutes is a guest mix, 30 minutes is just new music that I get promos of. Voiceovers, all that stuff. And then from there, graphics, uploading, and then the social media part of it.
Yeah.
So it's a process, but I think also like, as you know, with the podcast, it becomes like streamlined when you get good at it. You kind of know, like if you can keep it on a schedule, you can make it take the proper amount of time and you're not spending days on it. And because obviously at that point, it starts eating into other stuff,
Yeah, that's where I've gotten to where it's like, all right,
streamlined.
You just have like a template down, and you're just like, cool. As long as I have this, I can just knock this out real quick.
Yeah, it makes it good.
Who's a guest that you haven't had on that you would love to have do a guest mix for the show?
Any of the big house guys.
Yeah.
So if anyone's listening, you're a big house producer, hit me up.
Which ones? Name a couple of them.
If Diplo's listening, he's got his guest slot ready to go whenever he wants.
He's here in Nashville this weekend.
There you go.
He's here tonight. So.
Yeah, no, any of those type of people. I've had some cool up and coming house people that I've liked too. I'm trying to think of who I've had. I'd have to look back, but just some good like upcoming house producers that like have reached out to me about it, which I thought was pretty cool if they've seen the show and heard it.
And that they're actually reaching
listening.
out to you.
I thought that was cool. I mean, to be honest, at this point, most of the guests are like reaching out. You've seen I'll post like, hey, booking guest sets for the next 2 months or whatever. And I pretty much fill everything from there. If there's someone like I really want, I'll reach out to them for sure. Like I really wanted, for 100, I wanted someone big, so I got Vice to do it.
Yeah.
But like he's awesome. Like I've always looked up to him, so he was a cool person to have. He accidentally did 200 also. I didn't do that on purpose, but he
just
episode
ended up
200.
being lined up for it.
Yeah, so he was lined up for 200, but
he's done both the century marks. Huh?
crazy. But yeah, it's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love listening to him. Obviously, like for me, I'm always posting them, sharing them, listening to them in the gym, and they're always good. The vibe for them is kind of what I like to listen to musically. It's the genres that I like to listen to. So let's get on to some music. As far as you right now, whether you're listening to it in the car, whether you're playing it in your sets, give me 3 of your favorite songs right now.
Okay, let's see. We can divide it into like stuff I'd play in a club and stuff I like personally like. So that's, So something this the record that came out recently. It's been like teased on TikTok forever, but that Adam Port, Kind Music, that Afro House Move song is so good.
That's
like,
funny because that might be coming up here pretty soon.
Is that one of the rapid fires?
Yeah.
Didn't that happen recently? I feel like I listened to one of your past episodes. Didn't Darren do that or someone did it?
One of them basically like said the song that I was gonna have in the next portion too. And now it's the second time again. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that. I love that record. Another one I like personally love. I'll also play it in like the right room is Mau P, the On Again one is really good. And on top of that, the Carlisle remix of that
I just had it on this
bomb.
We recorded last week.
Yeah, he crushed that. It's awesome. It's like the perfect it's not super different. It just has like a little more energy in it. So it works in like a more mainstream room. Kind of reminds me like similar to what I did with that Sip and Yak one.
Yeah.
Like I love that original record, but it's like, how can I play this in a not house room? Like it needs a little more.
Yeah. Cause after the vocals end, I feel like it's like, all right, cool.
Kind of dies down. Yeah. So in a house room, it's great. I mean, it's vibey, but those are 2 that I just like personally have loved. Man, as far as records that just always work every single night. Man, for a while now, it's not new or anything, but still every single night, like Shiver, or Where Are You, John Summit, those are in any room.
And you're still getting requests for them too. It's not even just like
the people are still asking for those.
Which that's what I think is even more crazy is like it literally yesterday was 10:45 and some girl was putting a phone up on John Summit. Like,
and even thinking about like Where You Are has to almost be like over a year now, right?
Yeah.
I think it's got to be over a year old.
Yeah. For sure is over a year old, but that's what I'm saying, and it still hits every single time too.
Yeah, I think that and Shiver are 2 real big ones.
Yeah. It's 2023, so it's gotta be.
So it's got to be a year.
Yeah,
Trying to think of what else. Hip hop wise, I was telling you I really like that Band for Band record.
Yeah,
I think it sounds good. Like that's my biggest problem with a lot of the hip hop stuff. It's like it's all right, like in your car, your AirPods, but it just doesn't hit. Like it's just not produced like.
For club speakers to actually sound good.
It just doesn't sound good. So that's one that I think it sounds pretty good in a club. And like Central C is cool and different.
Yeah. His voice and the way that he raps on beats it's
cool.
It's very, very good to hear.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, thinking about like the production and the mixing and mastering for that of like how he gets Lil Baby onto there and then how he makes Lil Baby sound too, where it's like whoever set that one up must have done it a little bit differently.
Lil Baby sounds good.
Yeah,
it's kind of
exactly,
weird.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's like, again, nothing against Lil Baby. Like in AirPods and stuff, it's fine. But it just doesn't, in a club, I just feel like it just doesn't hit.
Yeah.
But that's a cool record. Yeah, I think that was 3, right?
Yeah.
Something like
that. Oh,
that.
yeah.
All right.
At this stage in your career, obviously you are playing a lot of open format spots. Some of the spots that you're playing are more themed. Like I think of like a Goodnight John Boy that's going to be a little bit more disco house themed.
Shout out Goodnight John Boy.
Yes.
Goodnight John
I
Boy,
need to
Chicago
go-
especially, the coolest, that hands down, that's the coolest spot in the country. Right
I
now.
still need to go visit. Dante was just here the other week, and I
Especially
got a
when
lot of-
Dante walks around with the Cazes bottle and just starts tapping the bell. Everyone knows it's party time.
See, and I don't fucking know. So now I need to go. Next time I'm home in Chicago visiting my parents, I got to fucking go check it out.
Yeah, it's the best, man.
Playing those open format sets, are you at a place where you're starting to be able to book more artist style sets just because of what you've built with Cazes and the brand around it? Or are you wanting to just do like the open format game?
So I think at this point, I think like the term open format has changed a lot over the years.
Yeah.
I think the real term like open format, I think of like AM.
Yeah.
Right? Like mixing like AC/DC with hip hop, with Daft Punk. Like that was open format. I think now, I just think open format's really changed. I think like there's rooms that want more like dance pushed open format.
Mm-hmm.
There's rooms that want more hip hop. There's rooms that just want straight house stuff. And like, obviously it's not open format, but that's just kind of like, you know, like a great example is like the party Luke does, Azor, right? In New York, like people go to that party knowing they're going to get dance music, but it's not artist driven. It's just like curated to that. I think that I personally now, like I lean towards electronic stuff. Like that's what I'm good at. And I think I lean towards the rooms that are more electronic, top 40, you know, dance pushing. Like I think Barstool is a great example.
Yeah.
Play very little hip hop at Barstool unless a table's asking for it or somebody's asking for it in a way where I can do it. Mm-hmm. That's just the more high energy room. I think that's the term I'm looking for. I play the more high energy rooms. That's what I'm trying to do.
I think that is actually a better way to put it. Yeah.
But then there's also like John Boy's a great example. I mean, John Boy's disco leaning, but it's still also everything. Like I play a lot of house stuff in there. Play a lot of like rock sing along type stuff in there. Mm-hmm. I don't really enjoy the rooms that are like straight hip hop. Mm-hmm. So I think as I've gotten older and had the ability to kind of pick and choose what I want to do, I think most of those gigs I kind of have pushed out.
Yeah. Where then you're actually taking the right gigs, and that all goes with aligning your brand.
Exactly.
With what you
it goes
do.
back to the brand thing we talk about. I think saying no to gigs is important.
I do too, and I've talked about that prior on the podcast too, where it's like a lot of these younger guys just want to take gig just so that they can either get their foot in the door or they need the money, whatever
Where
it is.
in the end it just fucks them.
Yeah, because then you're not building anything for your
No,
brand.
especially if you're looking to like play a certain spot and they see you playing somewhere else that doesn't align with them.
Yeah, then
You're,
they're like,
you're
this
immediately
kind of DJ.
associated with that.
Yep, exactly.
And I think that's some stuff I learned. Luckily, as I was coming up, and some older DJs have kind of helped me with that. And you know, it's okay to say no.
So
Don't
like
say yes to everything.
For here playing in Nashville, I feel like every time that you come here, you have like a new edit or a new remix just like in the chamber.
The EDM edits are always in the chamber.
Like
for
you
Barstool
prep
Nashville.
something, at least like 1 or 2 tracks for this, and you just sent me over one a couple days ago that I'm sure I'm gonna hear tonight.
Yeah.
But is that something that you look at kind of like all your different sets where now with these residencies, you kind of know what's gonna fit that room, and then you kind of gear those edits and remixes that you're making for that crowd that's going to be at that venue?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's kind of similar to how like back in the day, you'll hear a lot of these older DJs talk about how like this you play on the East Coast and this you play on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think that really exists as much anymore.
Yeah.
It to a point, of course, certain stuff, absolutely. But
music is just so easy to access. It's so accessible.
It's accessible everywhere.
Yeah.
So everybody that's seeing TikTok in California is seeing the same TikTok in New York or Miami or whatever. So I think for me, it's really turned more into like what works in this venue. So like at Barstool, for example, I know like some of those EDM banger type things really go off in there. So every time I come here, I find a few new ones or I make a few new ones or vice versa. John Boy, I know the disco remixes hit. So it's like I'll always, be finding those. Dallas, just house stuff really works well there when I do Sunset or do Greenlight or whatever. So I think I just kind of have learned that like most of the spots I'm playing now, they're pretty much repeat. There's like very few like one-off type things I'm doing. So I think that I just know, like you said with Barstools, that's a great example because obviously country, it's a little different. But yeah, I think just knowing what works in different venues and just kind of prepping and still having like the meat and potatoes of what you play. Like I have an idea of where I want to take it when I go in somewhere. And from there, have plan A, B, C, and D and just kind of go for it.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into this little rapid fire that I got for you.
Even though I picked one of them already.
That's going to be for my platform playlist. So one of the songs that I got lined up. If you open a nightclub today, what would be your opening weekend lineup of DJs or artists? Give me Friday, Saturday.
Ooh. Okay. Well, am I like operating this to like make money? Like I'm.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So if that's the case, I'm going.
Actually, now I want to hear both. What's yours? If you're just being able to book yours.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the way I can answer it like both ways. If I'm trying to make money, I'm booking Pauly D both nights.
Okay.
The dude,
he fucking crushes.
No, it's nuts, man. Nah,
Yeah.
I book him one night and then I book a dance pushing person the other night. Probably right now, like bang for value type of thing. I probably would do like Dom Dalla. I think John Summit is the top, but he's expensive. It's tough to make money on that.
Yeah.
But Pauly D, like that man sells 700 tickets and 650 of them are 25-year-old girls.
I've been trying to get them to book him at Barstool.
And he's a great DJ. He's a good DJ. He's a cool dude. Like he's great.
That's what I said too, because Dom booked him at Lucid.
Yeah.
And he fucking kills it.
He kills it.
And he's a really good DJ. Nine is always with him. Nine is a really good DJ.
Yeah, Nine's
too.
awesome. Nine's a good dude.
So yeah, I mean, I know he would crush here because his name obviously still like Jersey Shore is however many years old, but he still has that following and it's fucking insane.
It's crazy. So, yeah, I would book. I think like bang for buck, there's no one better you can book than him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like no one. But
what
then
if you were doing
like
it just like? What if you were doing it just? This is who you want to hear at your club for your opening weekend, but might not make the most money for you.
Oh man.
I figure you had it lined up already. No. I
was just wondering to answer it. I mean, I think all these people still make money and they still kill it. Like it just obviously is like a little, what kind of club are we opening, mainstream, whatever. I think Clooney's so sick. He's killing it right now. Like everyone with Hellbent, like the Sosa guy kills it. I do someone like him. Who else?
I just think of like Coachella with like him and A-Craze playing together where I'm like, all right, this is fucking dope.
It's crazy.
Like, watching that set on YouTube, I'm like,
yeah, I mean, and then obviously like, I think something like the book like a Fred again, like that's as good as it gets, but you're not booking that in a nightclub right now.
No. Yeah, he's at Bonnaroo.
I think if I could have anything, that's what it would be, but that's not realistic. So
yeah, when he's selling out fucking stadiums.
Insane.
So. Who's an artist that you have to play their music in every set?
I think as far as original music, I would still say I think John Summit, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think everywhere it works.
Okay.
It's crazy. Editor wise, I'm playing Rick Wonder's the guy.
Oh yeah.
That's my dude.
Yeah.
Rick Wonder or Revis.
Yeah.
A lot of both of their edits. Similar to what we were talking about with me. I know when I download a Rick Wonder Revis edit, I know what it sounds like. I know they make super similar stuff to me. So pretty much all their stuff works. I think those are the two that editor wise would be in everything, and then John Summit for original music.
Yeah, Rick's been killing it. Revis just switched over to BPM Supreme, been killing it.
Yeah, they're both beasts.
But yeah, they're both fucking awesome.
They're awesome.
And that's where that kind of branding stuff comes into, where it's like you see Rick's name on it, you're like, all right, cool. Like I know what kind of sound that I'm going to get.
You know
from
it's
this.
going to work.
So
yeah.
Flip flop of that. Who's an artist that you could completely erase from your library and be all right with?
Oh man. Who's like someone I personally really like, but I don't really ever play their music because right now it's just not like in the mainstream. Would be someone like Skrillex.
Okay.
Like he makes some of the coolest shit, but like I'm not really playing that like in an open format club.
Yeah. I mean, even just recently, his last album, like
He
Ratata and like
though.
all that kind of stuff.
He's so good, man.
Was popular for like a month, I feel like, and then that was it.
I'm just thinking of like something that I wouldn't need like in my arsenal.
Yeah.
Even like someone like a Kendrick Lamar, I feel like is a great example too. Like he makes great stuff, but like J. Cole. I love J. Cole, but like I don't remember
It's
the
not
last time
necessarily
I played a
fitting
J.
into the
Cole
club
song.
sets.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. Before we get out of here, we just got to have you put somebody on a platform. So it can be person, a venue, brand that you like, someone that you want to shine a little spotlight on. Get these listeners and viewers onto that person.
See, who have I been with recently? I got a good one. I was in Cleveland last weekend, so we'll give Bobby Boucher some love.
Okay.
I always talk about venues that really shine light like on their residents and people that are always with them, and I feel like Forward is a great example of that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Bobby kills it for Forward, kills it for John Boy. I don't know. I think a lot of people don't know he does all their bookings.
Yeah.
Does all their music from those venues to the bands and farm because they do the country venue. He books all those bands. And he's a sick DJ, and I love to see him getting some love, and he's traveling a little bit now. I've seen him at Green Light, and he's a good dude.
Yeah.
We'll give him the platform.
Just on one of these episodes, so that's
nice.
perfect.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's awesome. He was just out here scouting some bands actually for the farm.
I was gonna say I saw he was here. I figured it was for something with that. That venue is amazing.
Yeah, that's a perfect pick. And then now they're opening one in Chicago too, so be a little bit better for it too. So awesome, man. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down. We got to go get some dinner now. So
dinner
if you guys
time,
are
Barstool
watching,
time.
if you're watching, listening, make sure you guys go follow Cazes. I'll put his Instagram up, SoundCloud, all that kind of stuff in the description here. DJ Dex on socials. Make sure you guys are listening to the Platform Mix. Rinse and Repeat Radio comes out every Wednesday, and these podcast episodes are out every Wednesday. So until next time, we'll see you guys later. Peace. Check. Mic check. 1, 2.
Yo, is this thing on or what?